requesting this dress a lot. So I'm going to show you guys how to make it, and it is a beginner project. So what you would need is a t-shirt to trace. You will need 1.5 yards of fabric, and also the fabric that I'm using is available on my fabric stores in the info or description box, or many other fab fabrics. So let's get started.
This vibrant 31-year-old mother of 3 had built something remarkable, with thousands of subscribers watching her tutorials and learning from her budget-friendly sewing tips. She was known online as Misha Buu, a self-taught fashion designer who proved you didn't need expensive materials or formal training to create beautiful things. But on May 14th, 2014, at around 4 in the morning, someone crept into her Sacramento home while she slept, entered through an unlocked door, made his way to her bedroom, and fired a shotgun at close range into Tamisha's face. And the man who killed her had flown in from Texas just 2 days earlier, driven by an obsession he couldn't let go.
Tamisha Yvette Ridge, known to many of her YouTube followers as Misha, used social media to spread her knowledge of fashion design onto others.
But before we get to that horrifying night, let me take you back to April 3rd, 1983, when Tamisha Yvette Glashan was born in Sacramento, California. This is where her story begins, long before fame, long before violence, back when she was just a girl growing up in a local community with dreams of creating something meaningful. Tamisha grew up in Sacramento, attending Freeport Elementary and John F. Kennedy High School. Her mother, Tina Martin, played a central role in her life, providing guidance and support through every stage of her development. After high school, Tamisha enrolled at Sacramento City College, then transferred to El Camino College in Southern California to study business management and fashion design. These weren't random choices because she had a vision. She wanted to blend creativity with entrepreneurship, to turn her love of sewing into something that could support her family while inspiring others. Around 1999, when Tamisha was just 16 years old, she met Demeshlo Green. He was in his early 20s, and their relationship would stretch across roughly a decade, marked by cycles of connection and conflict, of breaking up and getting back together. Around 2003, they had a daughter together, but this wasn't a healthy partnership. Court records document violent incidents throughout their time together. In 2002, Green punched Tamisha for coming home late. There were episodes of choking, fits of jealousy that turned physical. In 2004, he faced 2 domestic violence convictions, and in 2008, Green faced another one. By 2008, Tamisha had had enough and ended the relationship. The following year, she obtained a temporary restraining order against Green in Los Angeles County. That order remained active until her death 5 years later. For those 5 years, from 2009 to 2013, there was no contact. During that time, Tamisha rebuilt her life, got remarried, and had 2 more children, bringing her total to 3. And she discovered YouTube. Around 2010, Tamisha launched her channel under the names Misha Buu and DIY Misha. She posted tutorials on budget-friendly fashion, teaching viewers how to sew, upcycle clothing, and create designs without breaking the bank. Her approach was simple but effective. She spoke directly to the camera with warmth and authenticity, breaking down complex techniques into manageable steps. By 2014, she had posted over 300 videos, accumulating more than 10 million views. She owned multiple brands, including Michelot for fashion design, Wet Baby, and Fab Fabrics, an online fabric store where followers could purchase materials and patterns. Her Instagram bio captured her spirit perfectly. Love my life. Fashion designer, owner of Michelot, Wet Baby, and Fab Fabrics. You feel me. Also follow me 3 on YouTube at DIY Misha. 10 million views so far.
Her charismatic personality and simple tips on sewing inspired many.
One of her followers, Lauren Taylor, a fashion designer from Mississippi, described the impact Tamisha had.
She had a wonderful, beautiful spirit about herself, always smiling. You got the impression she was a really nice girl that really just loved to sew and wanted to share that with the world.
But while Tamisha was building this life, Demeshlo Green was building a criminal record that would eventually last over a decade. In 2011, he pled no contest to assault with a deadly weapon after brutally attacking another girlfriend. The details were horrific. He choked her unconscious, slapped her awake, kicked her, penetrated her with a broomstick, and whipped her with an extension cord over the course of 2 days. The victim fled naked and sought help. A judge described the act as extremely cruel. Prosecutor Jeff Harry emphasized in court that this was Green's 5th domestic violence conviction, warning of a troublesome pattern of anger and disrespect toward women. Green received a 4-year prison sentence, his first strike under California's 3 strikes law. After his release on parole, Green relocated to Texas, living with his sister and working with his father. It seemed, on the surface, like an attempt to start fresh, but his parole conditions didn't restrict interstate travel, and in 2013, paths that should have stayed separate crossed again. Tamisha had moved back to Sacramento from Southern California that year. Her mother had urged her to return, concerned for safety and wanting her daughter closer. Somehow during this period, Tamisha and Green briefly reconnected, but it didn't last, and within months, Tamisha ended it definitively. She was focused on her career, her children, and her independence. This is when she got into a new relationship with a man named Lee Williams, whom she married. Her life was moving forward. Green couldn't accept that. Family members described him as obsessed, unable to let go of the relationship despite Tamisha's clear rejection. Her cousin, Ty Martin, would later reveal that she had been getting all kinds of threatening phone calls and text messages for quite some time. Tamisha's mother, Tina Martin, put it plainly, "I knew he was abusive, but I didn't know he was crazy." In early May 2014, those communications intensified dramatically. Green was in Texas, but he couldn't stop thinking about Tamisha, about the life she was building without him, about the man she was now with. On May 12th, Green purchased a plane ticket and flew from Texas to Sacramento without telling Tamisha he was coming. The moment he landed, he started calling and texting her. The messages Green sent over those 2 days mixed desperation with accusation. He accused Tamisha of infidelity, of betrayal, of moving on too quickly, and at the same time pleaded with her to respond, to give him another chance, to see him. He made over 20 attempts to contact her through calls and texts during May 12th and 13th. Tamisha responded sporadically at first, but eventually she stopped engaging. She knew what this was and had seen this pattern before. The jealousy spiraling into obsession, the refusal to accept that their relationship was over. Prosecutors would later argue that when Tamisha rejected Green's attempts at reconciliation, her harassment turned into something darker. He wasn't just hurt, he became enraged. The woman he believed should still be his was sleeping in a bed with another man, raising children, building a business, living a life that didn't include him. And Green, with his history of violence against women who defied him, wasn't going to let that stand. On evening May 13th, Tamisha uploaded what would be her final YouTube video. She went to bed that night with Lee Williams in her home on Woodbean Avenue in South Sacramento, with her 3 children upstairs. Her cousin, Valencia Thomas, was sleeping on the couch in the living room. But Demeshlo Green knew where Tamisha lived, and around 4 in the morning on May 14th, he made his move. Green entered through an unlocked back door. He later testified that he came unarmed, that he only wanted to talk, that he didn't know Williams would be there. But prosecutors painted a very different picture. They argued that Green arrived with a sawed-off shotgun, fully intending to confront Tamisha and the man she was now with. When he reached the bedroom and saw them together, a struggle broke out. The details of what happened next are contested. According to Green's defense, Williams rushed him, pulled the shotgun from under the bed, struck Green in the face with the stock, and during the ensuing fight, the gun accidentally discharged. But prosecutors argued that Green brought the weapon, that he aimed it deliberately, and that he fired at close range with the intent to kill. What's not contested is the result. Tamisha was shot in the face with a shotgun blast that killed her instantly. The weapon broke during the struggle, and the wooden stock remained on the bed. The barrel ended up in the living room. There were no identifiable fingerprints on the gun, a detail Green's defense used to argue reasonable doubt, but there was blood at the scene that matched Green's DNA, corroborating the facial injury he sustained. Valencia Thomas, sleeping on the couch, didn't hear the gunshot, but moments later she was alerted to the chaos. Williams, in a state of panic, wrapped the shotgun in clothing and left the house. He drove to Tamisha's brother's home, repeating over and over, "Twan shot her, we gotta go." Twan was Green's nickname, and those words would become a crucial piece of evidence, admitted in court as an excited utterance. Green fled the scene but didn't get far. About 5 hours later, around 9:34 in the morning, he turned himself in to the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department on an unrelated parole violation warrant from Inyo County. Once in custody, homicide detectives interviewed him and was formally charged with first-degree murder, burglary, and illegal possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. News of Tamisha's death spread quickly through her online community. Fans who had watched her videos, learned from her tutorials, and felt connected to her warmth were devastated.
And her loyal fans have now turned to social media to mourn her loss, where the hashtag Misha taught me has been trending. One follower writing on Twitter, "Tamisha Ridge was the first person to convince me I could sew. She has been such an inspiration. Rest in peace, sweet Misha."
Her family held a memorial service on May 23, 2014, at Central Seventh-day Adventist Church in Sacramento. A GoFundMe campaign was set up to help support her children. Donations poured in from people who had never met Tamisha in person but felt they knew her through the screen. Tamisha's stepfather spoke to the media before Green's arraignment, his grief raw and unfiltered.
I miss my baby. I'm gonna miss her. I hope they throw the book at him. I hope they put him down.
I was hoping he'd go.
Gas chamber, something. Give him something other than time. He need his life taken like he took my daughter.
He also issued a warning to other women.
For all you women out there that date these silly men, watch who you date. Watch it. Screen them. Screen them. 'Cause you end up like my daughter. Don't want yours to get caught up like that. Watch it. Watch them men out there. They no good. Wrong men.
Those words carry weight because Tamisha's story isn't unique. Research has shown that separation is one of the most dangerous times for victims of domestic violence. The risk of homicide increases by up to 75% in the first year after a breakup. Green's obsessive behavior, the threatening messages, the refusal to accept rejection, these were all red flags documented in case after case of intimate partner violence that turns fatal. Remember how I mentioned at the beginning that Green had a history of violence? By the time he murdered Tamisha, he had 5 prior domestic violence convictions, and yet the system allowed him to be on parole, to travel interstate without restriction, to purchase a plane ticket and fly to California where his ex-girlfriend lived. The parole conditions that should have protected Tamisha didn't stop him. The legal proceedings that followed Tamisha's murder were lengthy and complicated. Green's first trial in October 2016 ended in a hung jury. 11 jurors voted to convict, but 1 held out. The main point of contention was intent. Had Green brought the gun with the purpose of killing Tamisha, or had the shooting been an accident during a chaotic struggle? Green had testified that he entered the house unarmed, seeking reconciliation, unaware that Williams would be there. He claimed Williams attacked him and pulled the gun from under the bed, and that during the fight it went off. But prosecutors presented a different narrative, one backed by evidence and circumstance. They highlighted Green's armed entry into the home, the close-range nature of the wound, and the pattern of threatening communications in the days leading up to the murder. They argued this was premeditated, driven by jealousy and rage, not an accident. The hung jury meant the case would have to be tried again. In February 2018, a second jury heard the evidence. This time, the outcome was different, and Green was convicted on all counts: first-degree murder, illegal possession of a firearm by a felon, and firearm use causing death. The conviction was enhanced by his prior strike from the 2011 assault case, triggering California's 3 strikes law. On June 21, 2018, Demeshlo Green was sentenced to 75 years to life in prison. The sentence broke down as follows: 25 years to life for the murder, doubled to 50 years under the 3 strikes enhancement, plus an additional 25 years for the firearm use. A separate 6-year term for the felon in possession charge was stayed. With this sentence, Green wouldn't be eligible for parole until 2039, when he would be around 60 years old. Although Green appealed the conviction, in August 2020, the appellate court affirmed the verdict with minor corrections for custody credits and clerical errors in the record. The core findings stood, and Green's conviction was solid. He is currently incarcerated at Pelican Bay State Prison in Crescent City, California, a maximum security facility that houses some of the state's most dangerous offenders. In 2021, Green filed a federal habeas corpus petition challenging aspects of his trial on due process grounds, but this also showed no favorable outcome, likely resulting in denial. Tamisha's mother, Tina Martin, has spoken publicly about the case, urging abuse victims to leave dangerous situations. Her advice echoes what experts say. Separation is the most dangerous time, but staying is not safer. Resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline exist to help people create safety plans, obtain protective orders, and find shelter when needed.
Well, all I know, my cousin, she was a very beautiful person, inside and out. She helps people. She owned her own business, and it's sad that she had to go out this way. She had to get murdered this way.
What happened to Tamisha Ridge is part of a broader, disturbing pattern. Over 50% of female homicides in the United States involve intimate partners. Firearms are used in 55% of those killings. Strangulation, which Green had used on Tamisha and other victims in the past, increases the risk of eventual homicide by up to 750%. These aren't abstract statistics. They're words written in the lives of women like Tamisha. Women who did everything they were supposed to do, who left, who got restraining orders, who tried to build new lives, and who were killed anyway. A strikingly similar case occurred just last year in 2025. Charity Christwell, a 29-year-old mother from Maryland, was fatally shot by her boyfriend Harry Lindsay just days after his release from jail following a domestic violence assault on her.
Deceased body found in that apartment complex across the street behind me. The accused killer, no stranger.
I said, I'm going to tell you, don't ever put your hands on my daughter again, or we're going to have a problem. He said, Ma, I'm sorry, and I love you. I love your daughter. I'll never do it again. 4 days later, he killed my baby. I can't believe he did this to the mother of his kids.
An emotional moment there for Jerice McCotter, saying her daughter's boyfriend turned accused killer, 32-year-old Harry Lindsay, was recently arrested for trying to strangle her daughter, 29-year-old Sharita Criswell. In that case, just 4 days prior, Lindsay was released over prosecutors' objections that he should be held without bond. Just days after being released, Lindsay is accused of fatally shooting Criswell, his girlfriend and mother of their 2 daughters. Lindsay is now charged in connection with her murder that reportedly took place on Saturday afternoon inside an apartment here on Stratford Way in Landover. When police and first responders arrived, Criswell was already dead. At a news conference today, newly elected County Executive Aisha Braveboy focused on the dangers of domestic violence and the need for incarceration of abusers who commit violence against family and intimate partners.
I handled several of these cases every single year. Families who were victimized by the death of a loved one. But it was those deaths that occurred at the hands of people who the victim knew and was supposed to be loved and cared for by the victim that hurt the most. And I always wonder, what could we have done differently?
Tisha, what more do we know about how Harry Lindsay was apprehended?
Lindsay was apprehended on Sunday in Capitol Heights, and police saying that they used surveillance video to track him down. He was on the run until they were able to nab him. He's now being held without bond. County Executive Aisha Braveboy saying that this is a homicide that should have never happened. Residents in the area not comfortable talking about this violent and deadly encounter on camera. Coming up at 5, though, we will hear from the victim's sister.
Lindsay had strangled Criswell weeks earlier. Prosecutors requested he be held without bond, but a judge released him on home detention with an ankle monitor. On July 5, 2025, he shot and killed her in her apartment during an argument. The similarities to Tamisha's case are haunting. A recent release from custody tied to violence on the victim, a firearm used in the killing, shared children, and a system that failed to protect. Tamisha's legacy lives on through her YouTube videos, which continue to inspire people in the DIY fashion community. Her family has advocated for domestic violence awareness, using her story to educate others about the red flags of abuse. She left behind 3 children who will grow up without her mother, a community of followers who lost a teacher and friend, and a stark reminder that obsession, when left unchecked, can turn deadly. Do you think Tamisha moving back home and having the same contact information somehow enabled Green to want to claim her for himself? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.